Can California elect Republicans?
Mr. Reagan.
So the other day, I was invited to an event called the Gold Coast Country Music Festival. It was a pretty unique amalgamation of a music festival and a political event, and it was organized by this guy, Cole Brocado. The truth is that I was a bit on the fence going to this event. I'm not a fan of country music, I don't ordinarily like to interview people, and this is not the most popular kind of content for my channel. However, I do like conservatives, especially conservatives in California, because conservatives in California are a severely oppressed minority. And I also wanted to get out of LA and talk to some conservative Californians and get a sense of the optimism or pessimism that exists out here in the bluest of blue states. And I have to say that what I experienced was pretty surprising. I'll show you what I found in one moment. First, I have to sell you something. Over the years, you've probably tried different investments in stocks and mutual funds. You know they can be up and down all over the place. But with inflation running at 8.5%, its highest rate in 40 years, do you really need that kind of uncertainty? Being able to sleep at night knowing your investments aren't about to crash? Well, that is worth its weight in gold. And speaking of gold, if you've been jumping from one investment to the next, the gold IRA with Noble Gold is perfect. With gold, you shield your gains from taxes. You keep the real value of your wealth. You own a global asset, something tangible, and you protect your wealth against economic crashes. What is not to like? And this month, for every cash deal above $20K, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin completely free as a thank you. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call 877-646-5347 right now to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
All right, so here is the man who did this whole thing, the genius, Cole Brocado. And you're connected to some of these musical groups, but you're also running for office yourself. So it was a sort of natural merging of worlds. What's the office that you're running for, and where is it?
So I'm running for California State Assembly in the 38th Assembly District. So we're a supermajority Democrat state here. They got 60 Democrats, 19 Republicans, and 1 independent, and we're just not being represented. We need to start feeling like California is part of America again, because it feels like we live in a different country here. It's insane.
Now, a lot of people think that California really can't change because we're locked in. These hardcore radical Democrats run everything. They control everything. It's fixed. It's never going to change. How do you respond to that?
Hyper-local. Start at the bottom of your ballot and work your way to the top. Because when you look at the small offices, we're only like, I want to say it's like 1,000 behind the Democrats statewide. We're within striking distance. My county is 38 seats out of like 600 behind. That's it. 38 seats. We could win that this cycle if you start looking at the hyper-local, your school boards, your city council, your state assembly. Everyone comes out for the presidential elections, which is good, you should, and the Senate, the Congress, but your statewide elections, some of these elections are decided by like 10% of the electorate. That's where you start. And then you swarm the system, you make sure that we're watching the polls, you make sure that we're being diligent, and when we know that we're being lied to, we don't go quietly about it. We press the issue and challenge stuff when you're seeing that you're not happy with the way that it's going. If we go out quietly, we'll be gone, and less than this generation. My children will not be able to grow up in this state. So go to Just Vote Bro. I know Brocado's a little bit of a mouthful, so justvotebro.com. Family values, hardworking values, American values right here. California born, bred, raised, all the way. So let's go.
You did so good. I'm so impressed with all this.
It's been crazy.
It's killer. It's killer. All right, I'll let you get back to your thing.
Dude.
This is Anthony Torino, one of the bravest men in California. He's actually going to be running for governor against the evil Gavin Newsom. Anthony, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that to make history, you need 3 things: the perfect villain, the perfect conditions, and the perfect champion. I think Newsom has created in himself the perfect villain, meaning that he's uniting people that normally would not come together under one common goal to change California. Perfect conditions in that he's created the reason for people to come together, the attack on our family, the attack on our kids, our businesses, and our churches. So he's uniting people. different political backgrounds, different religious backgrounds, so it's fertile ground. And then we have the perfect champion, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the movement we're seeing in California, the grassroots movement of people coming out, getting involved in local politics again, and wanting to create a California that we're proud to hand over to our kids.
Now, there's a lot of people that I've talked to throughout the state who don't think it's possible to win at this level. And the reason they say that, I mean, you look at what happened with like Larry Elder and the recall and everything like that. The reason they say that is because a lot of people believe that California elections are fixed. What is your thought on that? Do you think it's possible for anybody who's not, far left radical Democrat? I'll keep talking until this helicopter leaves. Do you think it's at all possible for anybody who's not far left to even have a chance in California right now?
Absolutely. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think we could win. You need three things to unseat arguably the most powerful political dynasty of our time. You need the Latino vote. I'm 50% Mexican, 50% Cuban, but I was born here, so I'm 100% American. You need the evangelical vote. We have the biggest movement of influential pastors and over 3,000 churches behind us. And the last thing you need is the grassroots movement. And what does that look like in California today? It's moms that are angry, moms that are coming out and voting. So the fact that we have the Latino vote, the evangelical vote, and the grassroots vote means that we have the pathway to win in California. The monopoly that the teachers unions have, the things that are being taught in our schools, so critical race theory, gender studies, sexuality, has now basically woken up millions of moms in California. In fact, Virginia even saw the same thing. Youngkin ran on critical race theory as being the villain, and he was able to flip that state. And I think that's what we're seeing in California, is that moms are finally tired enough of not having any control, of the government wanting to co-parent with them, and ultimately what's being taught in our schools. And I think that now we're seeing a shift of people on the left moving toward the middle, people in the middle moving to the right, and I think this is the season for change.
Yeah. And I would say the Latino vote is the Latino voting bloc, I would say, in America is sociologically or philosophically conservative. Yeah. But there is this idea that Republicans are racist. You can't vote for Republicans because they hate you, they hate immigrants. But I think that's turning around. Do you see that happening here in California?
Yeah, there was a 10% uptick in the recall election in Latino votes voting conservative. They're estimating 15 to 20% more in this general election. Latinos are waking up and realizing that they've been voting against their values their entire life. And so I think we're seeing a great resurgence of that vote. And remember, in California, Latinos represent 41% of our population. If the Latinos actually got out and voted, they would seat every governor in California and technically every president in the nation.
Because I believe that most Latinos come from a foundation of Christianity. And I believe that the Republican Party bases their values in traditional Christian values.
100%.
And I believe that the leftist party, the Democrats, are the party of atheism. And I think when Latinos see that, I think they're going to just keep shifting more and more right.
Yeah, and you got to understand something, and we talk about this everywhere we go in California. What's happening in California has little to do with politics. This is good and evil, light and darkness. The things that are being passed, the policies, the bills that are being spoken about in California are a direct assault on conservative biblical values. And I think people are waking up to that. Moms are waking up to it. Latinos are waking up. The black, the Asian, all the minorities are finally saying, hey, you know what? We can no longer vote this way anymore. It's against our godly values, our conservative values. And the Democrat Party just seeks to destroy and rip apart all aspects of American values.
Yeah, I think from a broad perspective, it's kind of strange to watch because it does look like they're really trying to destroy the country. What's the biggest thing you think you want to change in California?
I want to have law and order in California. I want to protect and uphold our Constitution. And I want to bring back a North Star, a moral compass in California, which we're lacking right now.
Yeah, well, they think that they have a moral compass, but it's
broken.
It's definitely broken. All right, man, Anthony.
Thank you so
Anthony
much.
Termino, if you're going to vote, if you live in California and you're going to be voting, or you have any interest in politics whatsoever, you got to get out. You got to vote for this guy. All right, vote for whomever it is that's local in your area, but then also vote for the state election. Vote for Anthony Termino, great guy, and man, I can't wait till the election day happens, and I got the ballot on my desk right now, and
we'll invite you back, and you can interview the governor. All
That's
right.
right. Yeah, I will interview you if you make it to governor. Woo. I'll be heading up to Sacramento.
Shockwaves not only through California but through the rest of the nation as well.
I certainly hope so. I mean, it would change a lot.
We're gonna make history.
All right, brother.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thanks for doing the interview. All right, folks. I found him. Jeff Horrigal Road. Good Lord, that's hard to say. Oh, let me try it again.
Say it a few times.
Jeff Horrigal, he is running for Ventura County clerk. And it's a weird job, Jeff.
It's a very big job.
In terms of like, I don't think a lot of people are aware of what a county clerk does. How important is the county clerk, and why should people care about this kind of a voting for this kind of a candidate?
Well, on the ballot, it's Ventura County Clerk, but the real job definition is clerk, recorder, and registrar of voters. So it's a big title. There's 3 jobs. The clerk handles all vital records like marriage licenses, marriages, death certificates. The recorder handles all recording of things like when you purchase a property, when you refi a property, or do a trust. But the third, most important, is the registrar of voters. This job is responsible for the whole voting process in Ventura County. And we have over 500,000 registered voters here. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know that. And so
if I wanted to, per se, let's say I was a Democrat,
Yeah.
and I wanted to fix an election,
yeah.
you would be the guy that I would try to get into office if I could somehow control you or had a negotiation with you or something.
Well, yeah, it is in charge of the whole voting process. So that's the voter rolls, that's the ballot creation, the distribution, the collection, the counting, the certification actually, and the training for all the precinct workers and the observers who have citizen observers have a right to go view this stuff. So all that is under this particular job. But one of the things that's key about this is that it's a non-partisan position. So whether you're a Democrat, Independent, or Republican, it services everybody, as it should, just like the sheriff. The sheriff should be...
I believe what you're saying is it's supposed to be
It's supposed to be, that is correct.
So this is really why you decided to run for this office, is because you want to ensure fair election.
That is absolutely 100% correct.
Can I just shake your hand?
Yes.
That is a noble pursuit, my
Thank
friend.
you. Well, you know, I've been in this county 35 years. I've got family, friends, and you know what? Sometimes the right people have to stand up and do what's right to make sure that the people of the county and their friends are being well served. It's a very important position. A lot of people don't know how important it is, and I'm here to educate people as well, so that we can get this squared away.
I hope you win. Now, a lot of people think that California politics a little fishy, a little bit maybe fixed, that nobody that's not hyper left or juiced in can actually win an election in California, but maybe not everywhere. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we have a real good opportunity to win here. I'm a citizen candidate, okay? This is not my job. I've never held political office, but I've held senior positions in the private sector, and I'm looking to bring that into the government sector because I think government should be working for the people. I'm a citizen candidate, and I'm here to work for them, so I'm not beholden to anybody. And I'm going to do what's right, and I'm unafraid to do what's right.
Well, there's another guy that they said that about a few years back, running for president, and that guy ended up doing a pretty good job, I felt.
Yeah, you know, and he never held political office ever before, did he? And so I'm of that same cut. That's the cut of my jib, and that's what I'm looking to do as well. I'm going to do what's right for the citizenry here.
I love what you're saying. Jeff Horrigal, let me say it again. Jeff Horrigal, I hope you win, sir. I really do. I don't live in Ventura County, so I will not be voting for you.
That's okay, but you might have friends, and all those friends out there, I appreciate your vote, really. We can win this with 50% plus 1 vote on June 8th, and that's what we're going to do, and we're going to change this county.
I believe you can do it. I believe you can do it. You got some charisma, man. And you do. Why don't you guys tell me your names first?
My name's Karen Meyer.
Joelle Mancuso.
And you guys are running for the school board.
Yes.
And I think we've all figured out in America now how important school board seats are.
I don't think people realize that school boards decide what gets into the classroom as far as curriculum. Parents don't realize that, but they are the line between whoever wants to get into the classrooms and their children. We have the education activists coming in, and there's powerful money that are taking over the school boards and pumping money into campaigns. And so anyone that is getting money from unions, you have to look twice at that. If we can give parents some power, if the word equity is coming into the school, social emotional learning, inclusion or diversity, ethnic studies. If you just know those should let you know that your school is being taken over by special interest groups.
Yeah, those are the key words.
And gender studies and queer
Comprehensive
studies.
sexual ed is all throughout the entire nation, and that's bringing in everything that you probably have no idea. It's not our sex ed from when we were in school.
Right. And they're forcing children to grow up way too fast. They're taking children's innocence away because they're starting this in kindergarten in many cases, and then there's some books out right now that are for 4th through 8th graders that you wouldn't believe the information that's in those, and even the pictures that are in those.
So at what point did you decide, I'm inspired to do this? What was it that you said, okay, this is it, I got to run for school?
It was sitting on the couch for 2 years watching what was happening. And I watched TV, and I could only do it for so long, and then I said, I've got to do something. And I'm retired now, and I said to my husband, you're going to hate me, but I'm going to run for school board. And he said, better you than me, and we need it. So he was all for it.
I love that. Have you guys met a guy named Scott Pressler?
Yes. Yeah, okay.
He's a friend of mine, and
He's terrific.
that guy's doing some great work going around the country, trying to convince people like you actually to go do this, and it's such important work. And nobody else is doing it.
None of us are politicians. None of us have ever been in a political situation before in our lives. We're just normal people.
Well, let me tell you, I don't think you are normal people. I think you guys are like superheroes, really.
Well, we're moms.
We're moms, yes.
You watch out. You don't poke a mama bear.
Yes, right.
That's right, and so you started this organization.
So don't mess with mama. So Mama Bears is all over Telegram and Twitter, and we have a YouTube channel. What we're just doing is exposing to the parents that don't have time. So if you're a mama bear and you need to know what's going on in your school district, it takes us 5 minutes. We know where the dirt is, and we'll help you. And if anyone has any inklings of running for office, we will help you do that too.
That's awesome. All right, well, you heard it, guys. I mean, every kind of office that you can run in is far more critical than it ever was in American history. That's how I feel like. So you guys are critical.
I heard General Flynn say one time, and that's one of the things that got me off the sofa. He said, local action has national impact. Because I was sitting at home going, what can I do? I can't go to Washington. I don't have the money to do that. I'm not an important person. But when he said that local action has national impact, I realized that I could run for a local position that could have a national impact. So.
And how do you think that there's a good chance of you guys getting these seats?
Yes.
Do you really?
Absolutely.
California's tough.
And the really nice thing, though, is that right now there's 3 seats up. So if Joelle and I, and we're trying to find a third person to run, if all 3 of us get in, that gives us a majority on the board. It'll be the first time we've had a majority on the board.
Well, where can somebody find you if they want to run with you?
Mama Bears.
MamaBears.cv or Mama Bears of Caneo Valley on YouTube.
All right, so if you want to run for school board with these ladies,
Absolutely.
you connect with them and
Call us, connect. We'll show you what to do.
I'm impressed. I really hope you guys are able to. I feel like there's a lot of enthusiasm with a lot of the candidates here for the various positions. You guys are awesome.
Leo Zaki running for governor in California.
The big question everybody's asking is, are you crazy?
I mean, I guess you got to be a little crazy to want to do this, but I'm someone who's just fed up like the rest of a lot of folks here in California. I mean, this is my home. My family's been in California for over 100 years, and the fact that we got just absolutely destroyed because of the laws that were passed in California. We were the largest privately owned employer and the largest poultry producer on the West Coast, and California legislature killed my family's business.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Zaki Farms. So I have real experience when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to business. I know firsthand that these people are stupid, incompetent, and they don't care about you, your business, your family, and they certainly don't care about California.
Well, a lot of people say that they think that it's not possible for a Republican to win really anything in California. A lot of people think, and you've heard this many times,
Of course.
California is fixed.
Are there election integrity issues? Without a doubt. But there are folks on the left that have woken up to the hypocrisy that is coming from the Democratic Party, and they see it. And it doesn't matter. These things have gotten so bad that people feel it. Every time they go to the pump, every time they go to the supermarket, they're feeling that hurt. When they can't get employment because they've decided not to get an experimental injection, they're feeling it. I mean, there's a whole host of issues. This isn't about left or right anymore. This is about doing what has to be done to save this state, to keep people employed, to have the ability to afford things and fill up your gas tank and put food on the table for your kids.
Well, tell everybody where they can go to check out your campaign.
Sure. You can go to leozaki.com to learn more about me. I also recommend checking out my YouTube channel, Leo Zaki for Governor. I've got great videos on there, in-depth, detailed, common sense solutions to California's key foundational issues. Check out my Cal State University San Bernardino interview. You'll be blown away.
Well, man, I hope you get some votes and this is a
I'm gonna
successful
win.
campaign. Well,
I'm going to win.
I love that optimism, man. I love that optimism. I'm so pessimistic now about California.
No.
I'm not saying I'm not going to vote. I'm not crazy. Of course I'm going to vote.
Everybody has to vote. Do not feel small. Do not feel insignificant. That's exactly how they want you to feel. Wayne Gretzky always said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. That's Thanks, man. It's a good quote. I am here with Donald Brodt, B-R-O-D-T. Now, this gentleman, also a superhero, running for school board. I gotta say, like, I don't think conservatives really thought too much about school board positions until like the last few years, but we're starting to wake up to like, the left is putting money into these positions,
They're
and
putting
people.
money, and they see how important it is. You know, they're training their next generation of soldiers from children.
I was saying to the other school board nominees that are running here, like, the president can dictate some of the stuff that happens now. The governor can dictate some of the stuff that happens now. You guys will dictate the stuff that happens in 20, 30, 40 years.
Right, and the lessons we teach our children now, that's what they're going to carry into adulthood. If we teach children it's not important to show up for class, they're going to learn that it's not important to show up for work. Is that the kind of coworkers, employees that you want to have? No.
So what inspired you to go, you know what, I got to run for school board?
I've always been interested in education. I've always wanted to, I've always thought one day in the future I'd run for school board. I love reading, I love learning history, and the pieces kind of lined up right now, and I said, all right, now's the time to go. Let's run for school board, let's fight for parental rights, let's fight for an academic focus. Yeah. So fighting for an academic focus, just getting back to the true nature of school.
So what would you change about what's going on right now with the schools?
So I definitely like to guide the curriculum. The curriculum is obviously where so much of the education comes from, but at the same time, all the policies at school, we just changed our policy for excused absences. Now children can be excused for cultural events and ceremonies. What sort of cultural events do you think the teacher is going to encourage the child to skip school for? They're not encouraging them to skip school for Memorial Day. They're encouraging them to skip school for the latest BLM event. So by shaping those policies, shaping the curriculum that's approved in school, that's how we're going to change children.
So is this a sort of I'm getting a sense from you that you want to instill more traditional values in kids and not this sort of like new sort of like woke philosophy?
Absolutely. Traditional values. I would love to get back to, you know, there's so many old textbooks that we use, so many old primers, stuff that people learned from 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with them. That's a great way to learn to read. It's a great way to learn to study. Those are great texts. There's no reason we always have to transition to new, exciting things.
Yeah, I always say if you want to teach your kids about history, get them a book from history. Get them a book from like 50 years ago and then maybe teach them history from that, because so much of it is being revised today and there's so much emphasis on the wrong things. And I genuinely believe that there's a lot of lies in history books that are written these days.
Yeah, definitely. They're very selective with how they present the history, how they present the information. You know, the idea that America is so bad, America is formed in all these terrible ideas. No. Every country in the world had slavery. America fought to stop slavery. Let's praise that. We can acknowledge how bad slavery is. Americans did have slavery. That's a horrible thing. But let's also acknowledge a lot of people fought and died to end slavery. This is the heritage of our country.
No, you're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah.
Nobody except for that black people freed themselves.
Yeah, it just happened magically. No one shed blood to free slaves. It just happened magically. Yeah. There's been more people come from Africa willingly in the last 100 years than there were during slavery. We don't talk about that. We just say America's bad. That's not a great way to raise children. We need to give them an accurate view of history. There are bad things, acknowledge the bad things. But let's also acknowledge what's okay.
Well, I'm so happy that conservatives are waking up to the idea that the local offices, the local positions are really critical, especially for our future. And I hope you win your seat, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Great to meet you.
Say your name again.
Donald Brodt, Don Brodt, Simi Valley, Area D.
So if you live in Simi Valley, vote for this guy for school board.
Thank you. I'd love to have your vote.
Oh, it's great talking to you, man. I hope you get it. All right, I have here Hala Maher, and she is running for the City Council of Thousand Oaks. If you live in the Thousand Oaks area, you got to vote for this woman. You're not a strong leftist.
I am not.
Why are you doing? Are you masochistic? Do you hate yourself? What are you doing?
I love this country. I came here when I was 8 years old from Baghdad, Iraq.
Okay.
to escape socialism in a war-torn country. For all the people wanting socialism, be very careful. Be very careful. When your parents line you up before school each morning to coach you on what to say or not say, if Saddam Hussein visited your school, because if you said one thing in opposition as a child, you're 6 years old, this was our morning routine, your family would be killed. That's what socialism and communism is like, and I'm not sure people understand that. My husband is LA County firefighter, and we have 2 little boys. When we were impacted by the mandates, it kind of woke us up and made us realize that our freedoms were at stake. Instead of sitting back and doing nothing, complaining, I'm going to throw my name in the game and see what happens.
If you live in the Thousand Oaks area, you got to vote Maher. There will be a name, M-A-H-E-R, is that it?
Yes.
M-A-H-E-R.
I have a website, votehalla.com. That's HALLA.com.
All right, we have found Patrick Lee Gibson, and he is a brave man. He is running for Congress, and get this, California.
Oh, yes.
What happened to you where you went completely insane, Patrick?
That was about, I'd say, probably somewhere in August last year when we were getting hit with all these mandates. And, I work for the Sheriff's Department, LA County Sheriff's Department, and they're about to fire us or you get a shot you don't want. So basically I fall into that 4,200 deputies where they're about to fire 4,200 of us, and I'm standing with them because that's what it takes. And then we got so pissed off with the whole thing is like, these guys keep voting people in that, taking away our rights. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to Congress and go to Washington and start changing stuff.
A lot of people that I've talked to in California, a lot of regular voters, will say that they believe that it's impossible for anybody that isn't a radical leftist, isn't juiced in, isn't part of the system already, to win anything in California because they believe it's fixed.
Right.
What do you have to say about that? Those accusations, those claims, that speculation?
So that's the big lie.
So
this
you
is like
think
a
they want you to
psyop,
think that so that you never even try?
Yes, exactly. So when you get there and you go, well, what's the point of voting? They already won, right? So it's all mind game on their end, and they're playing a really damn good game.
Okay, that's a great answer, man. So now you're running in LA County though, which is pretty tough because that's pretty far left, I would say.
Well, there's a lot, but I'll tell you this: there's a lot of people who are on the right side, who are conservative, and they don't want high gas prices. They don't want inflation going out of control. They don't want their kids to be, told that they're going to do something and they have no say. So parents have a right. We all have a right over our medical freedoms and all those things, but that's how we have to fight. We have to put up something. If we don't do anything, then we gave in. We're just like the German people back in the days when the Nazis were taking over. And they just went with it, but we're not going with that.
And so you are optimistic. You do think there's a pretty good chance you can...
Yes.
Man, I love that
I'm
optimism.
going against Adam Schiff, right? So I'm going against...
I forgot.
Yes, I'm going against this guy.
I need to introduce you again.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man is a legend. He is running for Congress against the evil, the disgusting, the despicable Adam Schiff. That's a better intro, I feel like.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
Right? I do. I like it. Absolutely. It's a good versus evil thing.
No, it really is. I
is.
honestly think that Adam Schiff may be second to Nancy Pelosi. I mean, Schiff.
Actually, I think he's even more because he's more sly about it.
I was talking to another guy, and he was talking about how the demographics are shifting a little bit. A lot of the Hispanic vote is starting to vote conservative now. I don't know how true that is in California.
It is very true. I'm half Mexican myself, so I'm Latino. So I'm as Mexican as they come, But
so you hate immigrants and Mexicans, is what you're telling us?
Oh well, that's what they would like to believe.
That's what they would like everyone to believe.
All these people that are coming into this country illegally, we need to close our borders down, not just because of them, because all the drugs that are coming by.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, anytime I've ever heard a conservative talk about it, yeah, there's the job issue, but a lot of it is like we don't want drugs and crime coming in, and then you say that to a Democrat, and they'll go, but really you hate Mexicans.
Yeah.
It's like, are you listening to what we're saying? We have legitimate concerns. Yeah, but you're racist too, though.
Well, that's like talking to a drunk person. You're never going to get through that the intoxication.
That's a beautiful analogy of Democrats, I think. Man, I really hope that you're right and that things are shifting enough that you can win. And I hope you guys do well.
I appreciate that.
All right, good luck, brother.
Thanks
for the interview.
Hey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have run into John Barrick. Now, you might be wondering, why should I care about a local California district attorney race? Well, I'll tell you what, right now we're seeing a lot of district attorneys around the country being installed essentially by leftists like George Soros, and it is men like this that are going to come in and bring back sanity into our judicial system, into our entire political process. John Barrick, are you excited about this campaign? Do you think you're going to win, and what are you going to do when you get into office?
I'm very excited about this campaign. Yes, I think I'm going to win, and the first thing I need to do is kind of get the county back on track to putting crime victims first. I've been a prosecutor for 17 and a half years, and I never had any interest in politics whatsoever. And I'd seen some things going on over the last few years in the state that really started to bother me. Number one was the fact that the California state legislature was passing a series of bills that gutted crime victims' rights. Number two was the fact that the general public didn't know about them. Number three, I didn't like the way law enforcement was being treated over the last several years. It seemed like everything had flipped in California to where the criminals were now the victims and law enforcement being treated as the criminals. And lastly, I didn't like the fact that career politicians were making their way into the public safety field and making decisions based on not what was best for the public, but was best for themselves. Very early on in my career, I set a guiding principle for myself that I was always going to adhere to remind myself that I serve the public before I serve my own interests. It was a very simple rule. That rule was victims come first. And that meant serving crime victims, serving their families, serving my community was more important than my pride, my ego, even my professional career if necessary. I've never violated that rule, and I will never violate that rule. So all these things were kind of going on. Well, when my boss suddenly announced his retirement in November of 2020, and I saw the names of the people who were put in for that spot, I didn't feel like any of them were going to do the job that I felt needed to be done. And so at that point, when I saw the names of those people, I had a choice. I could either sit in my office and continue to prosecute my cases and complain to absolutely no one in particular, or I could get up out of my chair and do something about it. And so I took the latter, and here we are, almost 19 months later.
And then the last question, I think the most important, how much of your campaign funding has come from George Soros?
Not one penny has come from George Soros. No way. Even if he offered it, I wouldn't take it.
I can't thank you enough for the interview.
Thank you.
I'll get you on the video.
All right,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
awesome.
All right, I hope you win, man. All right, we have found Tim McCarthy. He's running for Board of Supervisors here in Ventura County. What does the Board of Supervisors do, and why should anybody care about that position?
Great question. When they said lock down all your businesses, the Board of Supervisors did that. When they say you have to put on a mask in order to go in somewhere, the Board of Supervisors authorized that. When they said don't visit your loved one in the hospital, they're dying, the Board of Supervisors stopped you from doing that. They have a $2.5 billion budget. It's a huge conglomerate of control.
And what would you say to somebody who is maybe thinking of running for a political position on a local level, but they're like on the fence?
It fills your heart up to know you're doing something better for other people than you are for yourself. Start now, start documenting what ideas you have, what you who you need to talk to, what relationship you need to make, so when you do put your name in the hat, you're already off and running. Tim McCarthy, Ventura County Board of Supervisors, District 2, which is Westlake Village, Thousand Oaks, Newberry Park, Oak Park, Lake Sherwood, Hidden Valley, Somis, Las Posas Valley, parts of Camarillo.
So if you live in any of those areas, vote for Tim McCarthy.
Vote for Tim McCarthy.
It was great, man. Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
I love how enthusiastic everybody is. All right, so this is Lori Mills. What are you running for, Lori Mills?
I am running for State Assembly District 42 against Jackie Irwin. It's actually Ventura and LA County. It crosses the county line. But the beautiful part is we gain Simi Valley and Moore Park, which are red districts.
Oh, fantastic. So you think you got a pretty good shot?
Yeah, we do have a really good shot, especially with her voting record. For me, I just think that this is our Lexington and Concord moment. The people have to rise up, and the people can't just complain on Facebook. You need to vote, you need to overwhelm the vote, and to sit back and say it's rigged and not vote is the biggest mistake, and that's how they're going to keep our state. I'm a native Californian, I want my state back. All of the laws that you see in California come from the Assembly. Next week they'll be voting to vaccinate our children without our consent. We could repeal the gas tax. If we can get 8 seats in the Assembly to stop their supermajority.
Do you think that a lot of other people out there maybe watching should be running for their own local offices?
I say 100% get involved. Run for your school boards, run for your city councils, run for Parks and Rec. The bottom line is unless the people get involved, we're giving the left all the power, and we get what we don't fight for.
That's a great way of putting it. Okay, so if you live in her area, you got to vote for her.
Oh, and let me give you my website. Any donations do help. This will be $1 million race. It's Lori, Lori, Mills, Mills, for stateassembly.com.
Okay, if you can help out, please do. And I really hope you win. I hope wish you all the success.
Well, we win together.
We would win. We would win. We would all win.
Yes.
America, if you win, America wins.
Yes. Make California great again.
That's right. I love it. Well, thank you so much.
You know, it was a lot of fun to talk to these candidates running for local office because I think this is an area that we conservatives have neglected for decades. But in the past few years, Democrats have recognized the power of local offices, and they've set about taking all of these over. They've pumped millions of dollars into local races, taking a lot of key positions. And because of this, Republicans are now waking up to this as a great vulnerability. And it's just amazing to see regular Americans with traditional values stepping up and running for these offices. A buddy of mine named Scott Pressler has been going around the country encouraging people to run for local races, and I think that it is such an important thing, and I imagine that I would see this kind of enthusiasm and this kind of stuff, people stepping up to these kinds of offices. I would expect to see this going on all over the country right now, and it gives me a great deal of optimism as well, because I have to say, the optimism at that festival was overwhelming. A lot of these candidates seem truly optimistic. They believe they can win. What I saw was not hopeless candidates trying to put on a happy face, nor did I see candidates that seem to be suffering from delusion. No, these folks really do believe that they've got a good chance of winning in their local races, and they do see California shifting, if slowly, more conservative. Now, after 2020, I'm certainly not as optimistic as I used to be. I'm not jaded, but I no longer underestimate the depths that Democrats will sink to in order to take power. And I've also become a bit disparaged by the gullibility of Democrat voters. At this point, I feel like anybody who still thinks Democrat politicians are working in their best interest, I mean, you've got to be completely delusional to think that. And I mean, some Americans really just are that gullible. So can California elect Republicans? You know, I'm not convinced that we're quite there yet. Now, I have some hope for these candidates, but given the result of Larry Elder's gubernatorial bid during the recall, I just don't see Republicans winning major elections here anytime soon. But, you know, there are a lot of red areas throughout the state, and certainly at a local level, Republicans have for many years dominated these areas. But at a state level, I don't see California flipping red. And for the record, I do think California Democrats are corrupt, and I do believe that Democrats will continue to fix elections here forever, unless at some point they are caught and prosecuted. And honestly, I don't see that happening. I don't see anybody getting caught. I don't see anybody being prosecuted. I don't foresee this as a possibility. I mean, maybe at some point the state will shift so far red that they can't do anything about it, but I mean that's a long way down the line. Now, from the research that I've done, it seems to me that Democrat politicians, people who go into politics as Democrats, they go in really just to get rich and to enrich their friends. That seems to be their strategy. Their pronouncements of helping Black Americans, gay Americans, feminists, teachers, immigrants, etc. This is only true as long as these groups continue to vote for them. The truth is that Democrat politicians, whether at the local, state, or federal level, they don't care about these groups. They don't care about any Americans. They only care about themselves. They are con artists. And con artists don't care about integrity or justice or honor. They care about enriching themselves. Ethics plays no part in it. And now, look, I know my videos aren't usually so pessimistic. I'm usually the one telling you that there is hope. But with California, I'm skeptical. Certainly, Hispanics are starting to wake up to the fact that the Republican political philosophy is based in traditional Christian ethics and that the Democrat Party is essentially the party of atheism, and so they are naturally conservatives. And mothers all over America are shifting toward the Republican Party because of the critical race theory being taught in schools. And yes, I think even California is shifting a little bit right, but it's certainly not shifting quickly. And look, maybe I'm wrong. I'm looking forward to seeing how Californians vote in these upcoming elections. One thing is for certain, fixed or not, we have to get out the vote, because no matter how much cheating goes on in the various elections around this country, I do believe that we can defeat it with enough votes. Well, that's it for me. And remember, it's not that the liberal friends are ignorant. It's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.